Chapter 1, verse 26 is where we're going to begin for this lesson. That was just the foundation of where we're going. Now, I want you to write this down. The subject is identity. Who exactly am I? But I want you to write, who am I? Just write that. So God, when Moses went back to the Israelites, and they said, well, who sent you? What did God tell them to say? Who did he say? I am. Look at that. Who exactly am I? Now, right outside of that, I want you to write I am. Because who you are is found in I am. Who am I? If you turn it around, it's found in I am. It's found in him. My identity is found. Your identity is found in him. It's in him. It's in him. We can only really know who we are when we discover who he is. That's it. Jesus, he has his disciples, and he says, who do men say what? I am. Who do men say I, the Son of Man, am? Right? So they give him all of these different reasons. So what he's doing is he's speaking really to his church, the ones he called close to him. And they're supposed to learn from him and know who he is. So when they went out, and anybody knows what society is saying about him, who should know? The disciples, right? Because he's the one that taught them. When he would go into a mountain to pray, they would be out among the people. So they knew what was being said. They knew the rumors. But watch what happens. Jesus asked them, who do man, society, say I, the Son of Man, am? They give all of these reasons that were incorrect. So then he goes and turns and says, well, who do you say I am? Who? Because if you're out there, and nowadays if we ask people who are Jesus, they had a lot of different things to say. Probably not as nice as they did then. They'd say all kinds of mean, he's wishy-washy, he's bipolar. Why? Because of the ones who's called close to him and then sent out, his church, supposed to represent who he is, supposed to correct the misnomers and these misconceptions. They're expressing him wrong. If my kids are at school and they act up, what do people say? They have no home what? Training. Because they're relating their behavior to who? So if we're saying we're the church and we're out there and yeah, we don't agree and embrace abortion and other things, but we don't go and stone people. We don't go throw rocks and shoot people and go to parades. And we may not embrace but does God exclude any of these individuals from his love? But now we're saying, we're picking signs saying, repent or go to hell. And so now this is how they perceive Jesus. So now he says, well, who are you? He's talking to us. Who do you say I am? Now watch what happens. One of them, named Peter, whose name at first was Simon. What does Simon mean?
Rock.
No, Peter. That Peter means rock. What does Simon mean? It means like a reed he's just weak, flimsy, and it blows any way with the wind. It means he was timid, weak, and flimsy, right? Now watch what happens. He says, thou art who? The Christ, Son of the living God. Jesus tells him that he didn't get this out of a textbook. He didn't get this from no teacher. Where did he get it?
Revelation.
Revelation from where? Straight from the throne. So once he identified who Jesus was, which could only come from the Father in heaven, watch what Jesus turns around and does. He turns and identifies him. He said, you're not Simon. This is who your mother told you you were, your cousins told you you were, your neighbors told you you were, because they identified you with your behavior and how you act. You didn't know. But I say you are who? Peter. And upon this rock, that rock is not Peter, it's the revelation of once you identify him, he identifies you. Our identity is found in him. Who I am is found in I am. So that's the model of the church is built on that exchange of a revelation. I identify him, he gives me my identity. When I identify him, he gives me my identity. That's the church. And so all these people that are behaving, misbehaving, sin is abuse. It is abnormal use of the body and the mind. If I have a motorcycle and there's a manual, I say, I don't need a manual. I'm going to do what I want to do with it. That's a sin. Because I didn't create it. So the person who created it created a manual to tell me how to use it correctly. But I'm going to use it how I want to use it. That's really all sin is. We've been given a manual. We call it the Word of God. And so now I want to use my body how I want to use my body. I sleep with who I want to sleep with, when I want to sleep with. I do what I want to do, when I want to do it. So people are walking around in darkness. They don't know the truth of who they are and that the fact that it's found in Him. So we live in sin. And the wages of sin is what? Death. And Satan knows it. And it started with the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God was so loving that all He wanted us to know is what? Good. He didn't want us to know good and evil. What good is it? You have children, you have children, teenagers. I said this to my parents before. Well, how would I know unless I experience it myself? That's what I said. When they didn't want me to go down certain paths, hang with certain people, I'm thinking they're trying to prevent me from having fun. And they say, you don't know what's out there. And so they're trying to keep me from experiencing what's out there because they know what it leads to. And I think they're trying to limit me. That's the enemy. He did that with Adam and Eve. God said, all I want you to know is life. Eat this tree, and all you will know is life. All you will know is good. This tree here is the knowledge of good and evil. How many of you wish you never knew what evil was? I wish I never knew what it felt like to sin. I just wish, that's the joy of His return, is when these bodies are taken off, we will know no sin. We only know what's good. And so that was what He intended. Now, verse 26, God says, let us make man in our what? Image and likeness. So imagination, his mind, what he was thinking, He said, I'm going to make you in my image, or after my own imagination, in my own imagination, in His mind, the thoughts that He had, and likeness. That's even a more powerful statement. That means that what He is like, He made us to be like that as well. That's a heavy statement. Now this is God's original intent for mankind. When I say man, I mean both male and female. Then He said, let them have dominion, what? Over. The first over 30-fold individual things. You start naming individual things, right? Then what does it say after that? And after that it says, and what? And over again, 60-fold. That's all things included on the earth. Then what else does it say? And over again, 100-fold. That's everything. It says everything. Anything that He created, and we're going to go to Psalms where it says where to speak about this again. So that's remember, we're always looking at 30, 60, 100-fold. That's progression. So He wanted us to go from the 30-fold over. He didn't make man under anything. He made him over. So what he wanted was for us to be over first individual things. We each have our own individual things that we're challenged with. That God, but really all we have to do is come to the realization that, oh, wait a minute, I don't have to struggle with depression or stress or any of these things because He put me over that. Now that's my first level progression in Him. Now, when I'm over that, I begin to look beyond myself and I look forward and I see, wait a minute, now that I've conquered these personal struggles, I can help other people.